nectarine, is that what we have?
Thank you.
Croissant.
Actually, yes.
What about passing me one?
The next day, the team gathered at breakfast for some initial reactions.
Thank you.
Robert and Marie had faint headaches, evidence of yesterday's blue lily eating.
There's a bit in the middle of it that's quite sweet and like a gloopy texture, and that's quite nice, but the rest of it is quite bitter on the outside. But no, it's not like an artichoke. It's not like an artichoke.
But you tipped them all down. Was that simply in the line of duty?
After a while, it wasn't pleasure, no.
Determined to see it through to the bitter end.
They're quite Moorish, though, for some reason.
I'm very curious about the time that you spent away from us yesterday, and we'd very much like to hear more about your experiences then.
I'm very glad that we went out of here for an hour, 2 hours.
Why was that? Were you getting a little bit irritated by us?
Not irritated, no. No, not irritated at all, but it's quite a hard, awkward situation. It's not...
I guess it's
not very natural. It's, you wouldn't normally... I don't think... sort of take that plant in a room full of people watching you like that. I mean, it's obviously, if it was used, it was a social thing.
Exactly.
How very true. How very true. Obviously, our intrusions and invasions were really not enhancing the effects of the plant. It didn't really contribute to the favourable setting atmosphere that obviously would have been available to earlier cultures like the Egyptians.
Do you think you're at all... Could you sort of go and curl up in a ball and have a nice sleep?
I don't think I could sleep right now, no.
Right.
After breakfast, we watched clips of the previous day's experiments.
Any massive feelings of, as Robert was saying, the need to run around or not very energetic, just quite relaxed. This is rather good. I recommend it.
I'm definitely on something.
He says
to
his mother on national television.
Yeah.
So exactly what had the experience been like?
I've not experienced anything like that before. My mind felt very alert, and yet at the same time I was very physically relaxed.
For me, contentment, relaxation feeling, happiness, cheekiness. I felt a bit mischievous for quite a while. And increased awareness.
How did you feel when you went outside?
Much happier to be outside, even though I have got a cold today because of it. But I didn't expect to feel that relaxed and talkative in front of the camera outside in the rain.
Not unexpectedly, Alan was more sceptical.
We all know something about the way drugs are supposed to operate. Could it be the case that what we have here is an element of autosuggestion and responding to the situation you were in?
I do almost resent the fact that Alan thinks that I put it on for the cameras. I kind of resent that.
Yeah, I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind that there is some degree of effect from this plant. And I would say that it increased alertness, but I felt more relaxed. I felt more confident, comfortable, calm. I just felt really happy, a very positive feeling.
The whole time this experiment was being conducted, both Robert and myself were trying to balance out our feelings. I was saying, I feel this going on, but that could be through this, and I did try and keep sort of quite well balanced throughout. I mean, I don't think you saw me running around like an idiot or saying, I'm going to go and hug trees. I didn't feel like that. I gave you my honest feelings about how I felt, and I would say that there is something more.
And Michael thought that with a stronger dose, the effects could have been more powerful.
I think, that another important factor is that we are working with a very low dosage level here. In fact, a minimal dosage level, apparently. And that, of course, is by far the best policy at this stage in an unknown quantity. And in the absence of competent data to indicate the toxicity.
In the library, we discussed our conclusions. Well, we agreed that the blue lily was a drug.
Well, I think I saw the psychoactive effects of the blue lily. I think we saw perhaps the sort of experience that was taking place in the 18th dynasty, in the palaces at Akhenaten and Thebes, in the royal lineage, in the palaces of Tutankhamun.
I think both of our subjects have expressed quite clearly and categorically that what they were feeling was very different. Euphoria with a state of tranquilization is possibly the nearest description that I can give you at the moment about the effects of the lily.
Yes. Even Alan was now convinced that the blue lily was psychoactive.
I felt, as a non-medical person, that we had enough on screen in front of us to be reasonably confident that we were confronted with a little more than the effects of a glass of wine.
So no one doubted that we had rediscovered a drug. But what were the consequences of this?
I think the evidence is extremely clear. We have abundant evidence to place the blue lily into its proper context as a powerful drug used by the Egyptian priesthood and by the Egyptian royalty. It's depicted countless times in direct juxtaposition with other very powerful drug plants. And clearly, the psychoactive properties of the blue lily do solve the equation as to why it was, in fact, sacred in ancient Egypt.
Alan had agreed that the blue lily was a drug, but he was still not prepared at this stage to accept that the Egyptians used it.
The line I would have to take would be less positive than Michael's, but at this stage, Michael, and you will be expecting that. I would take the view that Egyptologists will want to consider carefully the implications of the fact that the blue lily has psychoactive properties, but we haven't demonstrated anything about what was going on in ancient Egypt. We need other sorts of evidence to enable us to do that.
The Egyptians are by far, an extremely wide margin, the most elegant and most knowledgeable chemists of the ancient world. Their practice of mummification was the ultimate secret high technology of the ancient world. It is difficult to imagine that they were not familiar with its psychoactive properties.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there is a possibility that the Egyptians were aware of the psychoactive properties of the plant, but at present I see no evidence to prove that this is relevant.
Can I bring this discussion slightly back down to the actual emotions of our two subjects? If we're thinking about partying, for example, both of our subjects were very talkative. They felt very relaxed, and they were also very happy. Now, to me, those seem the ideal conditions for one to go out and enjoy a party.
The effects of the blue lily appear, in some ways, to be similar to the effects of MDMA or ecstasy. Does this mean, then, that the Egyptians used the lily as some kind of party drug?
It could well have been used in the party context that we have seen, in the festive scenes where the ladies are wearing them as ornaments on their heads. They might well have ended the evening by eating the lily with a companion.
But Michael thought partying was only the beginning of the story.
We've probably seen really the minimal level of dosage. So, the typical dosage level may well have been considerably higher in ancient Egypt. In fact, it would appear to have been. Because of this, it would have been used in order to facilitate deeper levels of shamanistic trance by the higher levels of the priestly caste.
I wouldn't wish to deny the possibility that the Egyptians were aware of the psychoactive dimensions of the plant. That to go further to your position, where we are arguing that the priesthood are using it as a device to enter a shamanistic state, that, I think, goes considerably beyond the evidence we have.
I think what Michael's trying to describe is a sort of special knowledge cultivated by a priestly caste that was actually possibly even kept secret, which is why there's so little explicit description of it. So this is a rather fundamental new interpretation that you're putting forward of Egyptian religion, isn't it, Michael?
Well, yes, I would say that it is a fundamental feature of Egyptian religion, and this is why I said that we could be standing on the threshold of a revolutionary breakthrough. In fact, we are transforming our understanding of Egyptian religion from that which is driven by a theory founded entirely on symbolism to one that is based upon a chemical or a scientific interpretation of the data.
I see no evidence of that.
Despite our experiment, Alan was still sceptical that the Egyptians held the blue lily sacred because it was a drug.
I still get the feeling you're not taking the next and obvious step. Mm-hmm. Is there some reason why traditionally Egyptologists have been suspicious about this kind of explanation?
There is not the kind of evidence available which an Egyptologist would regard as the closest you can get to proof positive in this kind of discourse that these plants are being used psychoactively in the way that we're discussing. But I have never denied the possibility that this was going on.
But even Alan admitted that our experiment would prompt further investigations.
Clearly, Egyptologists will have to consider the implications of the current debate. They will go back to their evidence to see if there are any signs that haven't been spotted of the use of psychoactive substances. Undoubtedly, the hair has been started, but I think I would have to take the line that there's a distinct possibility that the poor chap might get shot.
Susan thought that science would sit up and take notice.
Definitely, yes. I'm sure many scientists watching this programme will be intrigued as to exactly how we're going to develop these ideas that we've been discussing now. We do need to bear in mind, of course, that these psychoactive properties have only been seen in 2 subjects. So I would certainly love to see this happening in more people before we start to really make firm decisions about the psychoactive properties and the relevance it has in ancient Egypt.
And Michael was not one to play down the consequences.
But the important thing is that we more or less agree from differing viewpoints and differing rationales that we did see the effect of at least a psychoactive or psychodyspeptic compound in action, and that this is the basis for additional research. And while it might seem like a small step to take for an Egyptologist, I think it's a quantum leap forward for Egyptology.
It had been a historic weekend. We had confirmed that the blue lily, now an increasingly rare plant, is in fact a drug, possibly of major cultural importance. If true, Michael's theories about the importance of the lily in parties and religious ceremonies could lead to a very different picture of life in ancient Egypt. So, 3,000 years into the past, at the roots of human civilization, my journey had come to an end. Over the course of my 4 investigations, we had caught glimpses of strange worlds, other realities that few will be privileged to see. The bizarre visual distortions of the fly agaric mushroom, the deeply felt laughter of Salvia divinorum, the aerial hallucinations of henbane. It had long been my belief that sacred drug plants, largely ignored by modern science, have played a vitally important role in human history. Now it appeared that at the heart of life in ancient Egypt, the civilization that lies at the source of so much of our culture, lay yet another of these extraordinary plants, the blue water lily.
Well, that was the last in the series, and don't forget you can join the Sacred Weed team now for a live chat on the web at www.channel4.com.